The city of Paris glistened beneath the twilight sky, its lights flickering like fireflies as the Seine reflected the world above it. But at the heart of it all, deeper than the cafes, catwalks, and couture, was a different kind of magic. The world's eyes were fixed on the Grand Palais Garnier, transformed tonight into House Aveline's temple of reinvention. It was more than a fashion show. It was a statement, a ritual, a final act in a world growing restless with excess and obsession. And at the center of it all was Disha Patani. She sat in solitude backstage, surrounded by stylists bustling with fabrics and crystals. But she heard none of it. Her gaze was fixed on the mirror in front of her. She looked flawless. Immaculate makeup, flawless bone structure, and her trademark cascade of deep brown hair that had graced 1,000 magazine covers. Aveline, the elusive and visionary designer behind the house, entered quietly. Her presence was ethereal, silver blonde hair woven with tiny bones and pearls, a silk robe tied loosely around her tall frame. She looked like a priestess rather than a designer. "You're ready," she said softly, not as a question but as a prophecy. Disha didn't respond immediately. She let the silence linger as her fingers brushed the ends of her hair. "I've worn 100 crowns in 1,000 photo shoots," she said finally, "but I've never felt like I owned any of them." Aveline smiled gently. "Then it's time you wear none. A queen without a crown is one no one can strip." Disha turned to the ornate mirror. Its golden frame was centuries old, imported from a Himalayan temple and etched with symbols of transformation. In its reflection, she didn't just see herself. She saw a version of her that hadn't been born yet, raw, stripped, and real. A stylist approached with clippers, not the ordinary ones, but ceremonial. Silver-plated, crystal-tipped, blessed in a monastery, or so the legend went. The moment had come. The buzz echoed in the stillness. As the first lock of her hair tumbled down to the marble floor, Disha closed her eyes. She didn't mourn its loss. Each strand felt like a burden falling away: fame, roles, opinions, expectations. The clippers moved slowly, deliberately, until her scalp was bare. Smooth, gleaming under the studio lights. Disha opened her eyes, and for the first time, saw not the model or the star, but the woman. Aveline stepped forward with a vial of scented oil and gently anointed Disha's head. "You are now what they fear the most," she whispered. "A woman who chooses her own image." And with that, the music rose outside, the sound cue for the finale. Disha stood, a vision in sheer silver fabric that floated around her like mist. Her bald head caught the light like polished marble. She stepped toward the curtain, alone. But she wasn't afraid, because she was no longer a performer. She was the Shorn Queen. The music pulsed like a heartbeat. Ancient drums layered with synths, as if past and future collided in sound. Behind the curtain, the crew whispered final cues. Photographers huddled along the runway edge. A sea of elite guests, celebrities, editors, influencers, sat motionless, phones poised, breaths held. They had no idea what they were about to witness. Disha stood at the threshold, her silhouette cast in pale gold by the overhead rig. The gown was unlike anything she'd ever worn, part armor, part mist. It shimmered like molten glass, clinging to her body with the fluidity of wind. But it was her head, shaved smooth, gleaming, that commanded everything. The curtain parted. A moment of silence struck the hall. Then, she walked. Each step was deliberate, slow, powerful. Gone was the rehearsed sway of red carpet appearances. This was primal, ritualistic, like a queen walking toward her coronation, or perhaps her rebellion. The cameras clicked, but slower. No one wanted to blink. In the front row, jaws dropped. Some viewers whispered in disbelief. Others smiled in awe. A few reached for their phones too late, already captivated. "Is that, she shaved it all? Holy hell, she looks divine."